Hello, Tom Levecchia here with the latest edition of the New Theory podcast. I got a good one today. Chan Kinchla, is that how you say it?
Nailed it.
Guitarist from the one and only Blues Travelers. Chan Kinchla, welcome to New Theory podcast. How are you doing today?
Thanks for having me. Life is good. We're all very excited. Well, I'll speak for myself, but I know we all are, because we've been forced to be off the road for the last year for the first time since I've been like 17 years old. And to be honest, it's been pretty nice, but just to get a break, I guess. But playing live rock shows is my favorite thing in the world to do. So I've been doing surprisingly well considering I haven't been able to do my favorite thing, but we are chomping at the bit to get out and do what we love to do, which is just, since I've been a little kid, I wanted to play in a cool rock band, jam out, outdoors live all summer long, and I'm about to get to do that. So we're excited.
Love that.
And a little break time is nice. I got to work on my chops.
Love it. Congrats on the new CD coming out July 30th. I believe it's called Travelers Blues. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Travelers Blues, it's a blues record. As I say, it's the blues record we always wanted to make when we named the band. Initially in high school, the name of the band was Blues Band. And we all of us started out as huge fans of the blues, and we were it was kind of more blues review, but then, we were smoking a lot of pot, and, we had so many varied musical tastes that all came crashing together. And obviously we expanded it and went very far afield from the blues. So of course it's all still blues based, especially with harmonica and soloing, and it's rock and roll, just turned into a rock band, which is great. But we had the opportunity to do this. We had been off for 6 months, and we're like, we should do something. We got all this time, and we were working with this publishing company who had a great blues catalog, and we're like, we should record. At first it was like we should do like a R&B mix of blues, like just take some of these old songs and maybe do a few songs. Maybe it's an EP. We didn't really know, and then we got this song list. We spread it all around between the different parties and the band members. Yeah. And next thing you know, we had everyone on board, and we just went to Nashville, and we had been pent up for about 6 months. So we went to Nashville and just banged it out. A lot of it's really live, just how we kind of interpreted these songs as they came up day to day. And then we, with our producer, Matt Rollins, and ourselves, we got a lot of great guests. So it's very organic, but like I said, we've always wanted to make a blues record. And, we came up on that, and we finally, 40 years later, 35 years later, got to make it. So it came out better than we thought.
That's absolutely amazing. And it's interesting to see the dynamic after, post-COVID. You guys opened up the tour July 4th at Red Rocks. What is it like to play there, every 4th of July?
Well, Colorado was, we started out in New York City, the late 80s, and the first place we went off the little Northeast, we were playing all the colleges up there. Yeah. We drove cross country to Boulder Theater, having no idea if anyone would show up. I mean, back then I don't even know if the printing press was invented back then in the late 80s, but we show up and the Boulder Theater was packed. So ever since, Colorado has kind of been our home away from home, it's kind of, and we opened up for the Allman Brothers at Red Rocks. Oh, wow. And in like 89, and we had actually played our own show there in the fall, but we got 4th of July for some reason, and just have been miraculously lucky enough to be able to play it ever since. So last year was one of the first years. We had a medical reason about 20 years ago. And then last year, because of the global pandemic, the only years in the last like 20, 30 years, in the last 30 years where we haven't had the honor of playing Red Rocks. So, I mean, it's a Colorado people love music. They know how to party, and the venue itself is just miraculous. So you put that all together, and all the history and memories we have there. It's pretty exciting. We're going to be rusty, but we're going to be joyous. So sometimes rusty and joyous is more fun than polished and tired.
Love it. Now, you guys have been together 35 years, as I understand. And
Yeah, since 87. So 34.
Most marriages don't last that long. Mine certainly didn't.
Mine either.
But you guys stayed together as a group. What's the secret sauce? What's the magic there?
Well, secret sauce is doing stuff like this blues record. We're always trying different crazy shit.
Yeah.
It's being open to different ideas. You know, we've done like collab albums. We've done albums with outside writers. We've done, you know, go into a garage and just bang out records.
Yeah.
Just open to, you know, I guess what the universe is putting in front of us.
Yeah.
Open to different ideas. Also, we were a high school band, so we really did grow up together. So, I mean, whatever fights we get into or disagreements, we kind of always know, like a family, we're gonna bring it back around, you know. But honestly, I think the live playing was always what our dream was, and what really we look forward to as much as anything. And that's always changing and evolving. And, you know, every time you go up and do a live gig, it's a little different. And that just keeps us keeps us engaged. You know, I don't know how else to say it, but it's a lot of variables and luck. I mean, we've lost some people along the way, unfortunately, but the spirits stayed. So we just, as I say, the longer I do it, the more I like it.
Now, you are an excellent guitarist, and you're working with one of the best harmonica guys in the game, John Popper. As a guitarist, right? I know nothing about music, but I can't imagine there's a special set of challenges and opportunities playing guitarist against the harmonica. Can you walk me through that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, John's a singular talent, amazing singer, and obviously a virtuoso soloist. I mean, a guy just oozes music, and it's very natural.
Yeah.
Something Bill Graham taught me, because Bill Graham was our manager. I'm name dropping, but what the fuck, it's Bill Graham, and I'm into it. He told me long ago, when he came and saw us in a little bar in New York, when he was thinking of managing us, probably in 88, 89, he says, Chandler, John, he's special. He's one of a kind. Your job is to make people forget about John for just a few minutes, so when he comes back, they remember how great he is again, which was great advice. You know, I'm very much, I love playing rhythm. I love playing riffs. I love soloing. I kind of love to occupy all those different parts. And as John's, you know, very upfront and also very much a soloist, because a harmonica doesn't have a lot of that other room, I think we do complement each other well in that way. But it's been an honor and a pleasure to play with someone so good. It's made my playing better, because following those solos, I got to keep my shit on point. So, you know, it's a blessing to have someone that talented, and you know, it's a challenge as well. But we get along really well, and like I said, we grew up together. So there's plenty of room for disagreement and support. You know, it's a pretty full-blooded relationship.
Nice. And then you know, kind of newer trend in music, well, part of COVID, but was experiential. Like you go to a place and you're kind of part of the show and that kind of stuff. And as I understand, you guys have been pretty good about, I think Tad throws out picks, you guys throw stuff out, John will throw out his harmonica out to the crowd.
Sure.
I think your drummer will throw out drumsticks. So you guys always been kind of doing that by really giving a great experience and connection to your fan. And to give you guys a compliment, because I'm a fan by proxy, one of my best friends is a fan. And I think you guys do a better job at connecting with your audience than other bands. Was that more organic? Were you guys shy guys?
It's 100% organic.
Yeah.
I mean, playing live started like in the Lower East Side of New York, where there are all these little bars, all these great musicians and different bands we looked up to. And we would all sit in with each other, and the crowd was part of the night, and you know, it was all very blended. So we're very comfortable with that. And I guess when we took it out to more theaters or on the road, the fans are always such a huge part of what makes a show work. So getting them in and engaging them and making them vested in the show is a huge part of the whole thing coming off. So, we feel it's kind of in our best interest, everyone's best interest, to keep the doors open. And we've been doing it a long time. So I think it comes kind of very naturally with us at this point to get the fans vested.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's plenty of bands that play live a lot, but back in the day, just touring and playing live was all that you had. There wasn't a lot of other ways to reach people.
Yeah.
And that's all we did coming up. And so we kind of come from that school.
Love it. Now, this is a planted question, but Sweet Pain is an awesome song for your fans. Why don't you play that as much as Run Around or Hook?
Well, Run Around a Hook is for obvious reasons. We don't want to be the band that, we do have a large chunk of fans that come for all the songs, but there's also a large chunk, and especially if it's a more of a festival kind of mixed crowd. But you got to play the hits. We don't want to be the band that someone comes to the concert like they didn't play their hits. And we try to change the feel up a little bit, nightly. It feels different to us, though. I'm sure as a fan, if you saw it many nights in a row, it'd be hard to tell. The idea is that the feel's always changing a little bit. Sweet Pain is good. It's just it's long and unwieldy kind of in the set, so sometimes it kind of bogs down some of the other stuff we're doing, but it is a lovely song. And we do, we play it consistently through the years. There hasn't been any years where that's gone off the list. We change up the show every night, so there's always a good dozen of those every year, but it's just not a nightly, surefire, get the crowd pumping kind of song. But maybe it'll make a comeback. The only reason it's not played more is it is a little long. We wrote a lot of long, unwieldy songs, arrangement wise. Someone should have talked to us. It was a little shorter, we'd play it more because it's a beautiful song.
Too bad they didn't play by the minute played. All right, so
I don't know if it needed all 5 verses.
Yeah, got it. Now you guys have played every venue more than 10 times, right? Every major venue. What's your favorite and why? Because you guys been around a minute.
Well, as we were talking about before, of course, Red Rocks is got to be the favorite. And just because of the history and how beautiful it is. So, and the fan base in Colorado knows how to bring the heat. But I'll be honest, sometimes the best gigs of tour are like a Tuesday night in Omaha, Nebraska, at a cool theater where you're just coming into town. There's not a lot of hoopla. The crowd comes out, and it's very relaxed. So you never know where that show of the tour is going to be, because sometimes, it's Ames, Iowa, or, for some reason, Midwest rocks too. So, but, as a standalone place, it's got to be Red Rocks.
Now, you, the Horde Festival, you guys came up with it. Is there any chance for coming back?
We bandied around that idea. At the time, it was us, Fish, Widespread, the Spin Doctors, Bela Fleck was on that, in the Aquarium Rescue Unit. We were all seeing each other at these little venues in the late 80s, early like 1990. We would see each other and play in different incarnations all along the East Coast. Yeah. And we were like, for the summer, we didn't want to be indoors. So we were like, let's put it all together. Maybe we can get some of these amphitheaters. Oh, wow. And it really turned into something really cool. Special, yeah. So we've tried on various ways to kind of put it together. There's just it's just such a lot of work. So we'll just have to wait for the fates to align to make it, to bring it back together. The ideas come up. There is talk about doing a documentary about that whole era, which I think would be really cool, because it does touch on so many amazing bands that we were lucky enough to play with and get on there.
Now, I'm from Jersey. I'm a Jersey guy. And,
home of the brave.
You guys are from Princeton.
Yeah.
As a group, what's it like when you do play in Jersey? You're going to play New York soon. You'll be playing Atlantic City.
Jersey doesn't really people love us from Jersey, but it's not like we, people from Jersey are busy. They don't really.
Jersey, you're not like Bon Jovi, like, you know.
Yeah, I guess we're not Bruce Springsteen, that's for sure. And even, you know, we were in high school and the band formed in New Jersey, but we really came up in New York City. We all moved to New York when we were 17, 18. We moved to New York young.
Yeah.
But we kind of always identified as a New York band because we honestly were. That's where the real
like CBGBs and stuff.
Well, this is right after CBGB's kind of had drifted away from it being a real music bar scene. It was more Lower East Side, Nightingale, then was and then Wetlands was a big place for us, and then down on Bleecker Street. I mean, back in the late 80s, there was we played 6-7 nights a week in New York City, every little bar and dive and club. So that's really where we came out of. So, you know, we didn't actually play in Jersey all that much. We played in New York City. So we're kind of a New York band who was born in Jersey. But I always love getting back.
I was gonna say now, on behalf one of your best friends, and these are questions that he helped me with, John Santiago. He's seen you guys over 65 times, traveled the U.S., including Red Rocks, and
awesome.
He remembers pre-internet when you guys had a newsletter called Gigs at a Glance.
He is hardcore, old school.
He loved getting that in the mail, and he told me a story when you first had your kid, I believe Aiden. He had a bib made with his name on it, embroidered, and sent it to Gina, who hopefully got it sent over.
No, Gina did get that to me. Full disclosure, you mentioned the bib before, so I'm not acting surprised. I'm not good at the oh my God, the bib, I totally remember. But yes, he wore that bib and got like split pea and carrot all over that thing. But
I love it.
I mean, those are the sweetest things when fans do that. And Gigs at a Glance, I still have a trunk full of all these. It all started in New York. Like I said, we were playing 6-7 nights a week in New York. We would do little flyers and stand out in the corner and just hand them to everyone in the Lower East Side and Bleecker Street and the Village and NYU and Parsons and Columbia and Central Park. We would hand those things out with our little schedule in the back and some cool art on front or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how we got a crowd in New York. And then, so we took it back in the olden times. We get the Pony Express to send out the mail to people around the country. That's, you know, those are cool times. It's just so different. It's so funny how used to technology we get now. Back then it was like cassettes and traded tapes and the mail and word of mouth. And I don't know how anyone ever dated and or showed up at shows and knew who to see, but somehow we managed.
Well, I got a selfish question to ask you. There was a guy that I had on my show. His name is Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V. Millions of followers online, Jersey guy. And that was a big online media guy, right? And he says you need to trust the process. Don't go for money or accolades. If you love the process and you love the grind and you love doing it, you will be successful. And knowing what I know about you guys is there's no way you would tour as much as you do. You don't need to be on the road now. You probably, made a few bucks and all that. It's great and everything. But it seems like you love the process. It seems like you love playing. It looks like you love being around.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. That's all I ever wanted to do when I was a kid was play in a cool rock band. For the people, rock out. Making music, writing songs, being in the studio was really cool.
Yeah.
But, for sure, the greatest soul satisfaction I get in my life is playing a great show and playing with these great musicians, which I've gotten to do. But even back in the day, we're talking about early New York, playing in all these little bars and clubs. We were always out hustling the process, playing gigs, getting fans to gigs.
Yeah.
And it wasn't to be famous or to be wealthy. I mean, I'm sure a little bit of fame and some money is nice. Yeah. Lord knows. But the meat and potatoes was just that, having that experience of the gigs. Yeah. And you needed crowds for that. And to this day, it's still the meat and potatoes of what I enjoy most about this gig. And I know, I can speak for all of us with that.
Yeah. Now, my last question, and we'll plug the tour and show again, is from the business perspective, right? Like the game changed. You mentioned a new publisher, that kind of stuff. Back in the day, you would have a bigger label and they would take care of everything, but they also took a lot of the money. Now, like you can do more stuff direct, do social media, appearances.
Sure.
From the business perspective, if you could share, how have you guys pivoted a little bit or changed a little bit in this newer environment with technology and that kind of stuff?
Well, the nice thing is, you have to be open to working with lots of different partners. There's a lot of ways, and creating music now is more of a profile thing. The chances of you selling enough actual music to make a lot of money is not very likely.
Correct.
So you want to have a good partner and the nice thing about technology is you can make records for a lot cheaper than we did back in the day, where we needed big studio rooms and tape machines, and you needed to manufacture all the product and ship it out to record stores. All that was very cost and time consuming.
Yeah.
So you're a lot more flexible now. But to do a cool project, it's more just to keep a profile and identity alive. So the live shows are good. So there's other opportunities. You get placement in movies and for advertising. As far as the financial side of things, those are the things that are probably going to make you money. The art is for your own satisfaction, to create something new and to create kind of a profile. So it's kind of a holistic thing. It's not like back in the day, it's like you made a video, shopped a single, tried to sell a bunch of records. That was the financial model. Now it's got to be a lot more things. So it's kind of cool because it's more organic now in some ways. But you have to be a little more flexible. You have to be open to a lot of different ways of doing it. It's not one way like there used to be.
God bless. Well, Chan Kinchla, Blues Travelers, July 30th, Travelers Blues. We'll put a link to the tour and we'll put a link to the record, and I'll have you close out with the parting words, maybe of advice, shout out to fans, or just however you want to close out. We'll have you close it out, Chan.
We can't wait to play for you all. It's been a long time. Peace.
God bless. God bless. Welcome back.
Thank you, man.